Hello and welcome to the You Can Heal Global Summit. I am your co-host, Dr. Jen Furch, and I have here with us PJ Dixon. And PJ is an inspiration to us all. He's a motivational speaker. He's a published author. He's been on many different shows and radio shows expressing himself in his mission, which is all in reference to peace and love. And he's also known as the love guru, which I think is one of the best parts of PJ, because he really does express that love. So what I know is that by the end of this conversation, you are going to be just moved. You're going to feel moved and just think and feel a little bit different than you did a couple minutes ago about love and tapping into that love and just being inspired and feeling that peace within. And so I'd like to introduce you to the wisdom of PJ. And how are you? Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Please forgive me, I'm a little bit congested today, so my voice is a little funny, but my love is still strong, darling.
That's right. That's right. Can you take a couple minutes and just tell us a little bit about your story for anybody who hasn't heard it? And for those of you who have, you'll just be able to dive a little bit deeper into your heart and essence. So just take a couple minutes and share with us.
Sure. I have a very rare form of muscular dystrophy, which was expected to take my life by the age of 7. I turned 48 years old this year. So I've lived 41 years longer than I was ever expected to. So I always like to joke and say, either I've got something good to do or God's pissed and he's saying, work off that karma, little man, which is probably the case. I'm probably in trouble somewhere. So I've had a really great life. And I'm going to back up just so you can see the wheelchair and how I move. Right, I'm just this tiny, skinny little guy. See my skinny little arms. I have to use 2 hands just to scratch my own nose. But the reason I tell you that is because I've lived a better life than most able-bodied people. I jump out of planes. I do indoor skydiving, aqua jet packing, snow skiing, water skiing. Apparently, I'm not a very good water skier, though, because you're supposed to ski on top of the water. I ski under the water. I've been to Japan probably 13 times, Mexico, France, different islands all around the United States. I've lived a great life. I also have been a martial artist for 27, 28 years. So my life really has been amazing. And one of the most important, a couple of the things that were most important in my life was in 1997, in October of 1997, when I moved to Tucson. I moved out to Tucson, Arizona to study with a spiritual teacher. And she said, go home tonight and pray. And I'm a pretty spiritual guy, so I hope that your audience is accepting of that. She said, go home and pray tonight and ask God, what is it that you want me to do with my life? And I said, yeah, that's no problem. And she said, but I want you to listen. I said, sure, of course. So I went home and I closed my eyes and I prayed and I said, God, I believe that I'm in Tucson for a reason. What is it that you want me to do? I'll do anything that you tell me to do. And I just got still. I got quiet, I got peaceful. And this pillar of golden light came through the ceiling, hit me in the top of the head, filled up my entire being. And I heard one word, love. And in that moment, I knew that it didn't matter what I did. It mattered how I did it with love. And so then about maybe 6 months later, as I was walking along a sidewalk, I was headed south on the sidewalk. I was going to martial arts training, and I saw this SUV that was parked in a restaurant coming out, and I looked at oncoming traffic and I thought, there's no way that this guy's going to be able to come out. And I walked out in front of him and he stepped on the gas and hit me on my left side, tossed me out into 3 lanes of traffic. I tucked and rolled, and as I was flying through the air, I had time enough just to pray to say, God, whatever you do, please just don't let him roll over my pelvis. He came to rest leaning against my pelvis with his front driver's side wheel. My wheelchair crinkled underneath his car, underneath his SUV. And as I stopped rolling through the middle of the street, the front driver's side wheel came to rest leaning against my pelvis. 2 more inches, he would have crushed my pelvis. Now, this is not where this story ends. What's fascinating is that this particular situation, there happened to be an emergency medical team in the restaurant he was coming out of. They ran out, picked me up, took me across the street to the hospital. I wasn't meant to die that day. Not a single car accident aside from me getting hit.
Mhm.
None of the other vehicles hit each other. He didn't hit any other vehicles. Nobody was hurt but me. So for the next 4 months, I went through physical therapy, and finally my physical therapist was like, PJ, we don't know what's wrong. We can't figure it out. He's like, I've checked with all of my books. I've looked at all journals that I could find. I've talked to all of my mentors, all of my teachers, all of my professors. And finally, literally the very last day, he said, there's one thing that one of my mentors checked that I didn't think about checking. He said, when you landed, you might have popped your pelvic bone out of place. And so they weren't able, you would think that they would know that because of the curvature of my spine
Right.
and the tightness of my hip flexors. They weren't able to really do a very good x-ray or scan on my hips to figure out
Mhm.
what the pain was. So sure enough, that's all it was. Like my pelvic bone had been popped out of place. He's like, this is going to hurt. And he popped that thing back into place. Ah! Totally killed, right? But
Right.
the moment that he popped it back in place and I went through that pain, this is the important piece. The moment that I said, yes, you can do that. Yes, I'm willing to go through the pain. Immediately, once I went through the pain was gone. And I immediately fell into the state of appreciation and gratitude because all the pain was gone. Prior to that, I couldn't sit up. I couldn't sit in the shower myself. I couldn't sit up to feed myself. I couldn't find a place that was comfortable to lay down. I couldn't work. For 4 months, I struggled in so much pain. I had a difficult time feeding myself. It was absolutely excruciating. The moment he popped that back into place, everything was gone. The moment that I came back into alignment, all the suffering was gone. Immediately, I was filled with appreciation and gratitude. And immediately, I began to realize that that message of the pillar of light that came through the ceiling 10 months earlier at this point and filled me with light and said, love, wasn't about me loving other people. It was about me learning to love myself and appreciate who I am and what I have. And once I love myself, then teach other people to do that. And that's how I started where I am. I've been speaking since I was 7, but not always about love. But now it's about love, not just love, overcoming obstacles, persistence, peace, beautiful things like this too. But a large portion is about how do you learn to love yourself?
Wow. I mean, I have so many chills running through my entire system right now. I mean, it's just, it's an incredible story, and
Thank you.
we know that you're here for a reason and a mission. I mean, people, no matter what you did, no one was letting you leave. So,
Right.
until you expressed and began to teach, because I think it's so hard, even though I think most people are in such gratitude for their lives and they're thankful for things, and maybe they haven't gone through, the extremes of what you've had to go through to know that you love yourself and you accept yourself, and now you can express that. And what a gift. How would you begin to express that to somebody else who maybe is having a hard time really fully accepting themselves, knowing that they're in their heart and they haven't had to, find it this way, in a way that maybe you've had to? How would you help somebody, step 1, 2, 3, or to really come into their authentic version of them so that they can live a life
Okay.
of
Well,
love?
the first thing that I would say is that when you're learning to love, you want to start to let go. I always say, release the resistance, overcome the obstacles, and let go of the limiting beliefs, right? Because these are the things that stop us. We believe that there is an obstacle in front of us. We believe that we're experiencing resistance. We believe our limiting beliefs. And the problem with that is we never actually expand into who we really truly are. We set up a framework or a box that separates us from actual growth, right? So we only expand so far because we believe somehow there's this limiting belief in our brain that we're only so good, that we can only do so much, that we can only give so much. And so the very first thing that we want to do, there's 4 steps to learning to love. Number 1 is you want to learn to release the resistance, overcome the obstacles, or let go of your limiting beliefs. And when you start to let go of these things, all of a sudden you start to become open and receptive, right? And so this is a beautiful process. Now, the thing is that most people don't know how to let go. They don't know how to release. They don't know how to overcome. And it's because they're believing what's in their mind. And so Albert Einstein said that nothing changes until something moves, which is totally correct from the physical world, right? Physics um, in the physics world, that makes sense. Nothing changes until something moves. When something moves, it impacts everything else. Everything else changes and shifts in some way. But I say from the spiritual place, and this is what we're really talking about, right? Because when we talk about the emotions are simply the voice or the expression or the language of the soul, right?
Right.
I say nothing changes until you become still. When you become deeply and profoundly still, everything changes. One of the beautiful things about that, right, is that when you still your mind, all of a sudden, you also still the resistance, the obstacles, and the limiting beliefs. All of a sudden, when your mind goes quiet, there's an expanse that you witness. There's an expanse that you experience. And in
Mm,
that expanse, if you live in that expanse where you realize that you are greater than the parameters of your own body, and you are greater than the parameters of the limitations that your mind earlier had placed on you. And when you're in this space, you feel that sense of openness and freedom. And if you resonate with that for a little while, if you sit with that for a while, when you're in that space, all of a sudden you start to believe that, okay, I can actually move forward. Because in that space, you're not buying into the resistance or the obstacles or the limiting beliefs. You're just aware of the potential, the pure potential. And
mhm,
then, so once you let go of the limiting beliefs, right? And you start to become open and receptive. Step number two is you become sensually aware. Now, I don't mean sexually aware, I mean sensually aware. Sight, what do you see? What are the shapes? What are the colors that you see? How does light hit your food? And what are the shadows doing? So, if you're eating, where do you see light reflecting off your food? Where do you see the shadows? What are the colors of what you're eating? What are the smells of the things that you're experiencing around? Do you smell the smell of the flowers in the air? Do you smell the smell of pine needles? Are you smelling, excuse me, somebody who is walking down the street and has a beautiful perfume on? What sounds are you hearing? Are you hearing a lot of traffic noises? Are you hearing the birds? Are you putting on music that really inspires, that comes into your ears but fills your heart, right? What are you tasting? What are the textures that you're experiencing? So when you let go of the limiting beliefs and you begin to become open and receptive, step two is that you naturally start to become sensually aware. And it's in this space of becoming aware that you start to really enrich your life, because all of a sudden you're experiencing life in that moment, right?
right,
Because when we're in the limiting beliefs, we're like, I can't, I'm too worried, I'm not going to be able to, all of these crazy things. We're not in the present moment. And so
right.
we're not really even aware of what we're experiencing. So once we let go of those things, we become open and receptive. All of a sudden, what are we becoming open and receptive to? Our sensual awareness. We're
Like,
becoming aware of to our senses. And then once we become aware of our senses, step number three is that we start to appreciate. Now, the word appreciate means to appraise or to set a value for something. The value is I like this or I don't like this. So you're appreciating the taste of food, you're appreciating the smell of a perfume, you're appreciating a type of music. And even if you're like, I don't appreciate that, PJ, that's an appreciation, that's an appraisal, that's a value you're setting for it. You
right,
like it or you don't like it. And if you like it, fantastic. If you don't like it, fantastic. You're learning something about yourself. And then when you fill your life with so many of the things that you really enjoy, the taste, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the hugs, the laughter, the love, the sharing of intimate words and conversation, the sharing of the depth of your heart, the appreciation that you have for other people. When you start to feel or fill up with that appreciation turns into gratitude. Appreciation that spills out of you naturally becomes gratitude. And gratitude is the expression outward of thanks or appreciation. So appreciation is to appraise what's inside of you, what you're experiencing, what you're witnessing internally, right? But then also, when you get so filled with things that feel so good to you, all of a sudden you spill out and there's so much gratitude. And that gratitude is when you're saying thank you. It could be to a friend, it could be to a lover, it could be to God, it could be to yourself. Thank you for giving me the chance to actually live like this. This morning I was showering, washing my hair, and obviously I can't move my arms very well, right? And so I have like a ledge in my shower that I drop my elbow off of, and then I push my shoulder forward. When I
mhm,
do that, it bends my arm, and then I'm able to lift up my elbow onto the ledge so that I can wash my hair. And when I did it, I just had this funny smile on my face that just went through, and I was like, "Thank you for being creative enough to find a way to continue to take care of yourself." So in that one moment, I was grateful to myself that I didn't quit. And I don't know how to quit. And so when you let go of things and you become sensually aware and you start to appreciate the things that are coming into your life and you set a standard of gratitude, you literally are grateful and thankful for the things that are coming in, thankful to someone or something else, including yourself. Then when you get so filled with so much gratitude, there's so much gratitude for what you have and who you are, it just naturally becomes love. And then it cycles around. So if we look at the top as letting go, like let's say 12 o'clock is letting go, and then let's say 3 o'clock or let's say 2 o'clock is sensual awareness, and 4 o'clock is appreciation, and 6 o'clock is gratitude. From 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock is love. And once you get back to the 1 o'clock or the 12 o'clock, once you get up there, you realize that the universe is infinite. The divine is infinite. My soul is infinite. There are infinite number of things and layers that I can let go of. So I can let go of something new. So I can become even more open and receptive, so that I can appreciate it, and even so I can be more aware at a deeper level, so I can appreciate even more, so I can become even more grateful, so I can love even more. It's a very simple 4-step process. And what's amazing, like if you look at my cheesy face right now, right, I'm literally feeling the tingling sensation inside my heart and my brain and my body, up
Yeah,
my spine. And it's just because, like, I literally, as I walk myself through it, I just literally start to feel so open and so filled with love. It's easy, but it's because I started with the first step. I
right.
was willing to let go of the limiting beliefs that said I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not educated enough, whatever it was for
Hmm.
me compared to whatever it is for you. When we start to let go, what happens is we become open. If you're holding, humor me for 1 second, if you would. Do you have like a pencil or a pen in front of you?
Sure.
Okay, grab it.
All right.
Okay. And then hold it up so people can see. Okay. So when she holds it, right, her hands are closed. But if you want to give it to me, right, maybe you open your palm and set it in your palm, right? You have to open up, right? And so when you open up, all of a sudden you're giving, right? And this is really important. When
Right.
you let go, you open. When you open, you can receive. Opening can be giving, opening can be receiving.
Right.
So the very first step is letting go of the things that aren't working for you. The
Right.
sadness, the frustration, the disappointment, the doubt, the worry.
And I think too, one of the biggest things, because people are going through so much right now,
Mm,
with their health, might be diminishing, things that are happening around our globe and our country, all those different types of things. And I think people have a really hard time allowing appreciation because we put a belief that this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, versus kind of being able to get to a point where we appreciate all things are happening in support of us in some way, even though our belief systems might have set it up that this shouldn't be happening. We have a limited view that, you know, I shouldn't be experiencing this, and I've done something wrong, or God did this to me, or, whatever your belief system, verse, this is what's helping you know more of who you are, or
mhm,
come into yourself more fully, or to have complete acceptance.
mhm,
And I think that, to your point, in that step one of letting go, it is a little bit of letting go that there's a wrong, that there's something wrong, like it's all supporting me somehow. And so that judgment of our experience,
What
you
if we simply
got
let
your
go?
experience and
Mhm.
gave up, And I think,
What if we simply let go of expectation?
right.
What if we simply let go of what we think it's supposed to be? What
Mhm.
if we just become aware of what it is? Right? And what if we then, once we're aware of what it is, it's not good or bad. Like Shakespeare said, neither good nor bad, lest, your one's mind makes it so. Right? And so what if we let go of any kind of frustration or resistance, and we just step back and we just become aware of what's going on? And then when we step back and we become aware of what's going on, what if we then appreciate the things about the situation that we like or don't like, appreciate the things about ourselves that we like or don't like, and maybe even start with yourself. In this situation, what do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? It's not good or bad. It's just an appreciation. It's an appraisal. It's a value. Am I getting value from this, or am I getting value from this? Am I getting value from the way I'm responding to a situation or reacting to a situation? Look, there's only two kinds of people in the world, right? There's free people and there's slaves. Reactive reaction is a slave action. If you react to something, you're in slave mode. You're not thinking about it. You're just reacting. You're creating the action over again. That's a slave mode. Reaction is a slave action. If you respond, you take that moment to pause and identify. You step back and you assess the situation, right? You appraise the situation. You set it up to see whether or not there's any value. But even before that, you step back and you go, okay, what can I be aware of? What's going on? Oh, that person's talking like that. The tone of voice is there. This is what they seem to want, but this is what they're saying they want. But if I step back, this is what it appears that they want. How am I showing up? What am I doing? Am I reacting? What is it that I want the outcome to look like? And as soon as I start to appraise and assess the situation, then I can appreciate where I stand in it and how I might play a role in the outcome that I want. And then once I step back into the situation and I create the environment based on what it is that I want,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, once it turns out the way I want, then I can say thank you to myself, or thank you for the wisdom that somebody else led me or taught me to be able to step away, or thank you, God, for letting this to work out the way I want it. You know what's one of the most important things is so many people aren't in control of their own energy levels. If you're not in control of your own energy level, look, I even have to back up because I'm excited. Okay. So if you're not in control of your own energy level, if your energy level is like, okay, yeah, I'm just going through my life, normal, every day, whatever, this is just the way things are. I've got to go to my work. Oh my gosh, that's a terrible way to live. You're not excited. You're not enjoying yourself. If you're not excited and enjoying yourself, the energy of the universe, literally, energy responds to other energy in one of three ways. Energy either attracts, it harmonizes with other energy the same. If you stroke a C chord on a guitar, another guitar that's tuned to the actual same note in the same room, its C chord will also vibrate. If you strum a C note on your guitar and I hit a C note on a piano, they're going to go together, right? So
Right.
energy responds to other energy in one of three ways. It harmonizes, it clashes against or resists, right? Or the third is it neutralizes, like noise cancellation headphones. So what we want to do is make sure that whatever you want in your life, if you come with energy, you get enthusiastic and excited. What happens is when you're enthusiastic and excited, you're putting out more energy. When you put out more energy, you start to see the good things, the happy things, the exciting things. That energy will come back to you. Other people will be drawn to you. Sure, sometimes you want to be a little quieter. Sometimes you want to come back to this state of stillness.
Mhm.
Sometimes you want to come back to this state of peacefulness and quiet and solitude, and that's okay. But sometimes you want to amp up and go, you know what? I'm not going to take this. I don't have to think about this as a terrible existence. Why can't I think about this and go, okay, if I don't like how I'm feeling, change. If it doesn't feel good here, could it feel good here? If it can, then switch. If you don't like where you are and you go, wow, I don't like where I am. Okay, what can I do to switch? I'll do this. Okay, cool. Switch. The thing is that so many people are reactionary. And if you're reactionary, that means you're in slave action. And reaction is a slave action. You're not thinking about it. You're not making a conscious choice. And if you're not making a conscious choice, then you're not consciously living. If you're not consciously living, then you're letting your subconscious mind run you. And the problem with that, excuse me, is the subconscious mind and conscious mind are designed to take care of four different R's. The subconscious mind is designed to remember and recall. Okay, will remember everything that it's ever experienced. Now, it won't always recall, but the things that it does tend to recall are things that have some meaning to you. More importantly, the things that have meaning to it, and it established some kind of paradigm or belief system or behavioral operation procedure within inside of the mind,
Mhm.
and a way to protect it from something, probably. And so when it recalls this stuff, and the conscious mind is like, oh, please just be quiet, my mind will never shut up, right? It's because the subconscious mind is like, hey, I've got something I want to reveal. The third R, remember, reveal, recall, or recall, reveal. But the subconscious mind will never reveal what it's got in it until the conscious mind says, hey, why don't you tell me what's going on? Why are we frustrated? Why are we upset? What's bothering us right now? Notice I'm saying us. I'm making this a team between my conscious mind and my subconscious mind. Once the subconscious mind goes, oh, you want to have a conversation with me? Like, you want to talk to me? And the conscious mind's like, yeah, of course. We're struggling right now. What are we struggling about? The subconscious mind goes, oh my God. Blah. And it just lets everything out. It reveals all of this stuff. And it's doing that because the fourth R for the conscious brain is its job is to resolve the situation. Once the conscious mind has heard enough and has had dialogue back and forth between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind itself, When the dialogue happens and there's conversation and questions and debate and more questions and more conversation and more dialogue, what happens is the conscious mind resolves the issue. And once the conscious mind resolves the issue, all of a sudden the subconscious mind goes quiet. And when it goes quiet, it creates more space for more things to come into it. The subconscious mind is our best friend, but we think that it's our worst enemy because we let it run rampant and out of control. And really, what it's doing is it's misbehaving because the conscious mind is the parent, the subconscious mind is the child. And when the conscious mind doesn't control it and decide what it wants to consciously think about, what it wants to consciously focus on, the subconscious mind, lacking any kind of discipline or control, runs rampant and out of control and just spews all kinds of crazy all over the place. And so that's why we struggle so much, because we're not actually aligned. We're not actually connecting with ourselves. And that love for oneself happens by communicating with oneself, by being gentle with yourself, by being kind, by having a soft, nurturing sense for yourself. And when you do that, all of a sudden there's a softness that comes over you for you. When there's a softness that comes over you for you, all of a sudden there's a softness that you have to be able to share with other people because you come into this place of beauty and gentleness and kindness.
Absolutely. Can you bridge that conscious or that concept of that human consciousness with our divine consciousness? Because that's so we're taking those two aspects and then at some point becoming the observer of then our infinite potential in that source. And I think that's a bridge for a lot of people to can understand that that's there for us all the time and that can also run through or is always running through us to allow us to feel that sense of
You
love
know,
and passion.
Jen, not very many people realize what you just said. And you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, that there's two consciousnesses. There's the divine consciousness and the human consciousness,
Mhm.
right? And it's the human consciousness that usually thinks that it's in control. And the problem with allowing it to be in control is it recognizes its limitations and gets frustrated by its limitations.
Right.
And really the frustration is the soul saying, hey, knock, knock, Mr. Mind? Yeah, 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 right? Knock,
I
knock.
got it. I got it.
Knock, knock, Mr. Mind. Can we just listen to God for a minute? Can we just
Yep.
listen to Spirit? Can we just listen to your soul? Can we just listen to divinity for a moment? So the bridge happens when you start to become kind to yourself, when you start to become soft with yourself. When you soften, your mind starts to still. When your mind starts to still, your heart starts to open. When your heart opens, there's space for the divine to flow through, and you feel inspired. And you're like, with your eyes closed or your heart open, or however you want to say it, what do I want to do now? Notice I'm asking a question. What is next? What's next on my list? What do I want to do now? Where do I want to go? What is next? The next thing to take care of? What
Mhm.
should I be doing? And when we start to ask questions like this, all of a sudden we'll know, we'll get a feeling, we'll see something, we'll hear something, or we'll open our eyes and we'll be in the middle of action, right? There's just this process of let's take action. But that's because you got out of the way. You
Right.
let go of control. And
Right.
so bridge is, it's funny because we think of as a bridge as something that we build, but really the truth is the only way the bridge can be built is if we get out of the way. So the divine can actually set the bridge from the divine into us. And this is an assumption, okay? This is in essence a metaphor that is sounding like God is over here and we're over here,
Mhm.
right? And that when we open up, God will drive his spiritual bridge from him to us. The real truth is, Jen, I got a little bit louder because my air conditioning just turned on and I was like, oh, maybe she can't hear me. So the real truth, though, is that you are never not God.
Right.
You are never not manifesting. You are always manifesting and you are always the divine. The problem is that you are not always aware that you're manifesting. You're not always aware of what you're manifesting. You're not always manifesting what you want to manifest. You're not always aware that you're the divine. You're not always aware that you're in the way of the divine because we get so wrapped up in what we think needs to be done. But when we stop for a minute, we get quiet, we open up, we feel the divine, right? We think that we feel it flow through us, and we really do. But when we really open up and we drop deep, all of a sudden, the parameters of our body, of our heart, of our mind dissipate. And then there's nothing there but the energy, but the vibration, but the force, but the flow of divinity, but the infinite expanse of energy. Energy is pure potential because the rock outside of your house is made of energy. The tree, energy, the wind, energy, our conversation, energy. Everything is made of energy. And if everything is made of energy, then energy is pure potential. And so when you close your eyes and you open up, you start to feel that divine energy, that pure potential, and you realize you are that pure potential. And your limitations now dissipate because you're not aware of the limitations, but rather the purity of the pure potential of the expanse. There's nothing that will stop you. And sure, we can have this whole conversation and be like, well, if that's true, PJ, then why are you still in a wheelchair? Why are you walking? Why are you perfectly normal? Why didn't you grow the hair back on the top of your head? Right? So, and I would say, not everybody believes this, but I'm a big advocate that whatever you really truly set your mind to will come about. Now, the question is, how much effort are you willing to put into it? Right? I've been disabled my whole life. I was born this way. And so if I wanted to reverse some stuff, I'm pretty confident that it would take a lot of attention, a lot of energy. And I don't know how much I would get back, but I'm absolutely positive that I could get some more back. But I'm also at this state where my life is pretty good and I've got other things I want to do. I don't want to just sit there in meditation the whole time, like channeling energy to heal, channeling energy to heal, channeling energy to heal. I can, but what's the most important to heal? My body or my heart? My heart,
Yeah.
my mind, my heart, my spirit, my body. But you can't do anything, PJ, without your body. Yeah, my body's good enough for right now. You know? So is that making sense?
Yeah.
The bridge is always there.
Right.
Bridge is
Absolutely.
always there. We think that the bridge isn't there because we're so aware of the limitations of our own physical being. But when we silence and we still and we become quiet and we open up and we just focus on our breath and eventually we lose our breath even,
Hmm.
then all of a sudden the gate that stopped us from crossing the bridge opens and we realize no boundaries whatsoever.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
And and I just love hearing your voice and your passion. I mean, that alone for anybody who's listening is going to awaken this space within you, because like PJ said, it's always there. It's always there waiting for you, knocking at the door,
Yeah.
saying, step back, allow your human you to step back, allow the doing you to step back
Yeah.
and feel your true self and your essence, and allow it to be as empowered as you truly are,
Yeah.
and so that your heart can shine. And I think that that's how people can turn the attention towards themselves and feel the self-love and feel. Everyone always says, but I don't feel it. You just need to, you know sit in that silence to feel,
Part
that
of the reason.
nothingness.
Yeah. Right. The nothingness is the everything, right? The empty is the all.
Yes.
And so when people say, but I just don't feel that self love, I don't have love for myself, it's because they haven't let go yet. They haven't done the first step. They're
Right.
still holding fast to, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy. And so there's parameters, there's gates that have been set up that's not allowing the love to flow through. And so one of the things that they can do, if they're not really able to let go yet, is they can start saying, you know, I do like this about myself. I
Hmm.
like this about myself.
Hmm.
And if you can start to identify one or two or three or 10 things about yourself that you like, and you can soften about if you close your eyes and you're like, I like this about myself, and you can soften. And one of the things that I will often do is I will imagine touching the face of um, a child, like with my right hand, just like embracing their face really sweetly, or the face of a partner, um, or a friend, or a little old lady, or a little old man, and there's that softness that comes over me. And so once I feel that feeling of giving and nurturing that sense of softness for another, then I take that softness and I turn it on myself and I turn it inward and I allow the softness to focus primarily on my mind and my heart, right? I start with my heart and then I expand to my mind and then I go back to my heart and then I go to my body. So there's this softness that I take on. And when I take on a softness, all of a sudden it starts to wash away all the I'm not good enoughs. And you're not thinking limiting beliefs, you're not thinking obstacles and anchors, right? In fact, it's important for you to recognize that the resistance that you're experiencing is as you're moving forward and you're moving through life, you experience resistance, which means you're probably getting pulled back. You're getting pulled back to something that's occurred in your past. You're
Right.
still carrying it forward instead of letting go of it, right? Like one of the things I teach my clients is how to identify when you're getting pulled back. Okay, I'm getting pulled back when I get here. I feel resistance. Okay, well, let's untie the chain or the cord or the rope, um, or whatever is binding you to that anchor. Let's find a way to untie that, unravel that, untangle that. And then what happens is that chain or that rope or that cord that's attached to the anchor, we just set down, we just let it go, and then we're free. But the process of that is we first have to become soft. We have to recognize there's resistance. We don't even worry about letting go yet. Literally find a place to be soft and kind to yourself and ask yourself, why are we struggling? What's holding me back? And what's funny, Jen, is um, you know, God is infinite and so is the universe. And so there's always going to be an infinite number of things that you can release and let go of. And maybe you feel like you've let go of everything in this
Yeah.
lifetime, which is great, but then there's layers.
Right.
And there's layers, and then
Right.
there's layers, and then there's layers. So let's say there's 10 things on this layer, but then underneath there's 10 sub layers,
Right.
and then there's 10 sub layers, and 10 sub layers,
The
right? And so we go
quantum
infinite.
cycle.
Yeah. And it's beautiful, actually. It's
Yeah.
beautiful because the more we get into the sub layers, the deeper and deeper we go, the more intimate we become with the divine. And that's what's really, really beautiful. And so, give me a sec. There was something I was going to say, and I feel like I might have lost it. So I'm going to be quiet for just a minute and see if I can get it back. It's this gentleness that we show up with for ourselves that will allow ourselves to trust ourselves. This is a weird conversation, but when you have gentleness for yourself,
Mhm.
and the conscious you has a gentleness for the conscious and the subconscious you, recognizing that you're more subconscious or unconscious than you are conscious. So when there's a gentleness for the subconscious, and then the subconscious feels like it's accepted and received and not like resisted, then all of a sudden the subconscious will relax also and it will open up. And when it opens up, it's willing to release.
Mm.
All it wants to do is reveal, because once it reveals what's bothering it, then the conscious mind can resolve it. And once it's resolved, they're in peace again.
Right.
The human design is the human mind is designed to become open and receptive. It helps you to remember so that you can identify things that you don't like and fix those and resolve those so you don't experience suffering and pain again. And
Mhm.
then when you're in that place where you're like, the decisions that I make are made through me, then there's almost never any noise in your mind. It's funny because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm at the quietest when I wake up," and I'm not. That's when my mind is running rampant because it's been able to talk all night long and do whatever it wanted all night long,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So the moment I realize, I'm like, oh, okay. And I take a couple, 3 breaths. I do a very brief meditation, and then I return to stillness. And then I'm quiet most of the day. Sure, my brain will wander, and sure, my brain will think about things, and sure, it'll get wrapped on around things. But the moment I say, oh, hold on, let's get quiet again, boom, I can get quiet right away. It's just when I haven't been in control of it
Right.
and it's been out of control, that it will stay out of control. And that's the biggest problem for most people with letting go, is they're not letting go. They're not allowing their conscious mind to consciously choose what they want to think about. They're allowing their subconscious mind to run rampant and out of control. And that's where all the problems come, because it's only running rampant and out of control because it's like, please help me resolve this problem. Please help me resolve this problem. Please help me resolve this problem. When it does, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
yeah, nice, quiet, peaceful.
Well, I could continue to talk
Mm.
to you for the next couple hours, and your wisdom is amazing. And I hope that everybody listening is really taking to heart what PJ is saying. Listen to this interview again and really feel it. Listen the first time and feel it the second time,
Yeah.
and it'll transform you, just this conversation alone. But if you'd like to continue your journey with PJ, he has a free gift he's offering,
Sure,
I
sure.
believe.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So many people want to give away on the summits that I've been on. They want to give away like a free PDF or free like audio of their meditation. All that's wonderful and great. The thing is that I've found is often people just need to talk to somebody. They need to talk about what's going on with them. And
Yeah.
so I say, well, give me a call. let's get on a 20-minute conversation. I call it Discovering True Love Conversation. Get on a 20-minute call with me, and we'll talk about where you are and what's going on in your life and see what we can do to help you let go of or remove. And sometimes people want to talk to me about relationships. Sometimes people want to say, I've been single for too long. I want to find a man or a woman, right? And sometimes people are like, I don't love myself. And sometimes people are like, hey, I just don't know what I'm really chasing down in my life. And I wanted to talk to you. So as a life, love, and relationship coach, reach out. And if I can help you, I gladly will. Okay. And if I can't, maybe I can introduce you to somebody who can.
Get on the phone with the love guru.
Please.
Please. Well,
I'm truly, truly giving you the opportunity to communicate with me.
yeah.
Okay. Because sure, I'm a busy guy. Everybody's busy, right? But
Mhm.
I'm not so busy that I can't share some love with people around the world because I want to make that happen. And if you're not in the United States, no worries. We do Zoom or we do Skype. I've got lots of clients around the world, so it's absolutely fine. We'll find a way to connect, I promise.
Great. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, PJ. Thank you for this interview. For everybody watching, search PJ out. We'll give you his website and his biography, of course, the access to his free gift that'll be coming to your inbox. And then check your inbox as well for our next wonderful speaker. And thanks for taking the time to be with us here today. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.